Hi everyone, and welcome to my channel. It's been a while. First off, Happy New Year to everyone. I cannot believe we are in 2026, but I wanted to give just a quick view of what's going on in our garden in January. And it's a bit of a mess. So, in fact, I look like a bit of a mess, but we're just gonna go with it today. Anyways, I just wanted to give you guys a quick tour, so I'm gonna flip the camera around and switch over, say hi Kai, and start out with the moon gate arbor like we normally do. So we've had some good storms, windstorms this winter, and rain. We've had a lot of rain, but we're expected to have the next 8 days a fairly decent weather. So I wanted to give you an update of everything, how it looks in January. So we're not going to be judgmental, because this time of year is the month where you kind of dream and come up with new ideas to reimagine your area. So if you've never watched our channel before, I would highly recommend that you go back and watch some of our videos, because it doesn't look pretty now, but most of the time this is actually really pretty beautiful space. So but I wanted to just kind of walk you guys through. So first and foremost, as I mentioned with the windstorm, we've had a little bit of damage. Obviously the pats look fine, and everything looks pretty healthy in those. This time of year, the one thing I will say is you can see my weeping, I just forgot what it is. Weeping cedar, weeping cypress. Oh my gosh, I forgot. Anyways, it looks very healthy this time of year, which makes me happy, because this is its first full year on the ground, or this spring it will be. But one thing you will notice, this rose has uprooted itself down there, primarily again because of the wind. So that's a little disappointing, but otherwise I didn't clean these outlining beds out like this, but I did try to clean up all of my little beds and flower pots. So in fact, you can see I've got some projects that I worked on. So again, some things look worse for the wear. Again, because we are in January. This bed is one of the other beds I did not clean up, but it gives you an idea of what things look like. And a lot of times I don't mind keeping the beds not tidied up, primarily because of the little bugs and, oops, I'm not going to show you that. Little bugs and so forth have little places to kind of nest. And I don't know if nesting is the right word. I need to stay focused. There's traffic going on too. So this bed looks great, because this is one of the beds that I cleaned up beforehand, but this is the third prune I've done on oh my goodness, I just forgot, globe thistle, and you can see that it's still pushing out new growth even this time of year. So we don't get freezing temperatures very often. I think we've had a few cold nights, but it typically doesn't get like below anything. It's usually, I think we've had like 38. We might have even had a night over below 32. I'm not sure. But anyways, you can see this bed looks nice and cleaned out. I will be removing that globe thistle out of here and planting it. I have a new bed that I'm going to be doing, and I'm going to be reimagining or editing some other beds just to kind of make things a little bit more tidy in the garden. Like, for example, these two big burgundy pots right here, they have spirea in them. And my goal is to take those out and move them across the property. But I have some new hydrangeas that I'm going to plant, new for 2026, that I'll share. When I get those, I do have an order already placed, which is kind of funny. And this year I'll purchase tons of seeds that I'm going to be starting. And when I start that process, I will take you on my journey. So again, all of these little beds I did clean out. And if you haven't watched my channel, I typically grow the same plantings throughout most of my beds. So I do a lot of propagating, again, just to kind of help ensure symmetry across the board with my beds. So it just gives a nice cohesive look. So I'm very excited about that. I'm probably going to be trying to figure out how to cover my bird's nest spruce sometime next spring, because they're getting too big for those cages. But my problem here, and if you guys have any suggestions, I have 3 Chiweenies that are males. We actually have 5 dogs. We overcommitted on the dogs, but we have 3 male Chiweenies that tend to urinate and kill my shrubs. So I'm trying to figure out something that I could use that's not ugly, but will help not kill my plants from them, so to kind of deter them. So if you guys have any ideas, let me know that. These are my roses that we planted. Again, these are $5 roses. Most of my roses, I will not tell you the cost. Most of them are high-end roses. I have some roses from Heirloom Roses, and I have a David Austin rose coming this next spring. And anyways, I've got some really good stuff. So this is the view this way. Some really fun stuff coming though in the springtime. That's how much rain we've had. These have been filled up a couple times. My husband just left them out here, but anyways, you can see that we've had a lot of rain. I'm going to, I just purchased a rain barrel, and I will be putting that out by our greenhouse that we just did. I'll tell you what, though, we built the greenhouse, and the wood that my husband used, for whatever reason, doesn't like our climate. It's got a lot of mold on it, so we're trying to figure that process out too. We'll have to redo something in the spring, either repaint it with mold paint or reimagine and use some different wood, because it's definitely an issue. But anyways, I did want to give you kind of an overall view of the garden like this. Again, you know, if I take you up close to plants, you're going to see a hot mess. But if you just glance at our view or our vision, it does kind of make sense. This birdhouse we also painted and re-cleaned out last year. For whatever reason, it's now moldy and gross, so I'm going to have to figure that one out. Again, we've had a lot of rain this fall and winter, so I'm not too surprised by that. This bed will have a few edits for this next spring, but I did buy some Caryopteris. I think that's how you enunciate it. And I also have this evergreen back here that'll be pretty, but there are some changes coming for this bed for sure. And then this is where we did, I'm going to slow down, where we did quite a few changes this last year in here. We used to grow vegetables out in our garden area right here, and this last year we kind of transformed it into really a cut garden, or just a annuals and perennials garden that I loved. That being said, some things I'm going to remove, like I grew quite a few different types of varieties of sedum, and I think because of the other tall plants, they didn't get their moment to shine, so I'm going to move some of those out. And then I also grew a ton of anise hyssop or agastache, and everyone pronounces it wrong, or differently, not wrong. So I'm probably saying it wrong. So I'm not quite sure of the correct enunciation. But anyways, I plan on moving some of that. Again, I've purchased, I think I counted 100 packets of different types of seeds. So I'm hoping to sell some of those plants just, you know, online, and no big deal. But I also plan on taking a lot of those and just, again, the beds that I'm not absolutely in love with, like this one I mentioned last year, it does need a refresh and an edit on quite a few things. There's some dahlias even I'm going to be removing just because they're not very pretty. And it's really, again, just personal choice. So let's go this way today, because I'm going to talk to you guys about a definite plan that we have for this springtime. My husband's like, oh, we already have enough projects, but that's okay. We're going to push it in there. I also forgot to mention that we are doing a big landscaping project for an art gallery in Seal Rock. So if you've missed any of those videos, those are posted. And one goal that I do have for this next year is to slow down with my walking around. I know that I made myself dizzy going back and watching my videos. So just please be patient with me. One of my problems, and I do presentations at work all the time, is I walk fast, I talk fast. So it's no different for me to have to learn to slow down, even with my my recordings and sharing my video. So anyways, this bed's pretty much going to stay the same. Again, as I mentioned earlier, this does have my heirloom roses. I did purchase a couple new roses, one from David Austin and one from Creekside, which is a proven winner. It's the reminiscent paired. It's one of the roses that you can actually eat. And then I also purchased 5 new boxwoods, but they're in quart sizes, so I'm not thrilled about that, that are new to proven winner. So I'm excited to get those planted up. This area, again, we usually have chairs sitting here. As a reminder, we had that really pretty lemon cypress that was here as well, but it died, so we had to edit that out very easily by cutting it down. And that tree that we had in a pot, it's going to be kind of difficult to see, but if I zoom in, maybe you can see. I replanted it out actually in the garden right right there. So it might be difficult to see. I'll try to go back over there in a minute. But I'm actually hoping to I'm thinking about it. If we move, I'm digging them up though, just as a heads up in case my husband watches this. But I have Japanese maples in those big cream pots there as well, that I'm also considering planting in the ground so I can use those to plant other newbie items to me. So my goal is to kind of increase or add to my garden different plantings that I don't have. And again, I'm still going to be smart with my plantings, meaning I still plan on, well, hi, Pete girl. This is Little Malaya. I'm still going to be smart and economical and do a lot of propagating, except for things that are patented. You don't want to do that. You can get yourself in trouble. But I will be patenting things that I purchase at big box stores that I'll Google them to see if they're, if it's okay to patent those items, because that's just smart too. Including some miscellaneous roses that I purchased like at Bimart that didn't have like a formal name or anything of that nature. And including those roses that my husband bought at that vendor in the valley. So this bed right here, you can see definitely hot mess 101. This needs to be cleaned out, but this bed was all full of zinnias, and they were absolutely stunning. I have some really pretty pictures. Again, if you haven't seen those, go take a peek at my prior videos. But this bed we added, well, basically 24 feet in 2 years, from last year to this year. And now I'm going to talk to you guys about our next project. I think I mentioned this in my last video that I wanted to go out, and I think my husband's going to try to fix the fencing for the cows. We eat the cattle. We usually just buy one or two, but our fencing, it's going to be pretty expensive because it's damaged from all the trees that have fallen with the storms over the last several years. And this last year in particular, and current year. So that's the bench that I still need to give away. But I wanted to show you this area. This area I can utilize. And what I think I'm going to do is it's kind of just a rectangle area. And I didn't want to do another square bed like my outlining beds, just because it just would look the exact same. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a half moon, similar to my rose garden that I just showed you with my fountain. So this will be really pretty. And the reason I need to do this is because I'm growing a ton of plants that I'm going to put out here. I love gardening, and it just brings my heart so much joy and peace. So between this and the landscaping project that we have going on in Seal Rock, that should keep me pretty busy for spring and summer. I would also like to start, and I'm just talking about my visions and dreams. So if you're waiting for like a big agenda, this is really it. This is also the bed that my husband installed last spring. It was successful except for the cornflowers or bachelor buttons. I won't grow those in here ever again because it pushed over other plants and they just fell over, and we had to pull them out. And then it left the center with big gaps, but everything else in there I loved. So that might be the same. But again, anyways, what I also wanted to share, so that's the other moon gate, or moon, I'm going to call this my moon garden because it kind of reminds me of it's either a half circle or a moon, and I kind of like the moon idea. But I also wanted to share that I'm hoping to do a video at least once a month. Last year, I started in the springtime. This next year, I hope to just do one every month, even if it's not pretty, because then you can kind of get an idea of how it looks all times of the year. And I'm a realist and a real gardener. I'm not going to make it all pretty for you every time because that's not realistic. And I think that this could be really helpful for newer gardeners that are just learning to see all different types of the year, how things actually look in reality. Now, this is one of the beds that I pruned and love it. And same with that back bed. My moon bed, I did prune up and clean up, but I want to show you. Again, we had so many trees and branches that have fallen down. All of this is just from the cherry tree. So I'm going to try to do this slowly so I don't make you sick. But this is from, not my lemon cypress, but this big tree right here. This is that cherry tree that we have that doesn't produce cherries. It's just a flowering cherry tree, but it has wood borers, and I've shared every video that we need to take it out. But my husband and I don't know, we hesitate every year. Last year it had, and it's going to be harder this year because last year it produced beautiful blooms, but the tree is not healthy and the branches come down even during days when it kind of reminds me of an alder, a widow tree, meaning the branches will just come down for no reason, even if there's no wind, and it could hurt somebody. So we do at some point soon need to get it down. So if you could encourage me to take the tree down, that would be great. This bed looks so pretty. So one of the things I did last year is I added boxwoods for evergreen interest, and you can see that really does help. And in here I have tons of hostas. Obviously those die down during winter, but I also cleaned it up this fall. But again, this bed is somewhat messy too, again, just because of those branches that have fallen down. Lots of heuchera, and I also bought a couple of heucherellas, which is a combination of heuchera and another plant that I can't remember the exact name of it. So anyways, that is that. Let's come over here so you guys can see this messy bed. I'm editing out quite a bit of my Crocosmias. They are so wonderful for your hummingbirds. However, I didn't realize until I did my August tour just how much space they take up. Like, it is encroaching. It was actually encroaching all of this. And then if I follow my hand down, it encroaches so much of my real estate, and I need real estate for my plants. That being said, I still want to leave some for the hummingbirds because it's their absolute favorite, at least on my property, or our property. But yeah, I gotta do something. So back here, I also planted, I think, some different types of Caryoptis in the fall that I didn't take you guys on a video for, so I apologize. I have some arborvitaes that we planted. So there's 3 here, and then there is one in the corner. I wanted to try to create a little bit of privacy this way, privacy hedge, because people can see me when they're driving by. And not that it matters. It's not like I have anything to hide. I'm definitely not out here in my bikini or anything, but I just like a little bit of privacy when I'm out here. These are the 3, I just noticed the weather is just so hard on everything. The 3 birdhouses that my husband and my bonus son made last year, but I can see this back one right there has some mold on it. So it's kind of a bummer. I might need to stain those this spring. All of my roses look okay, except for the one that my mother-in-law bought me. It fell over and the roots are kind of out of the ground. These are dahlias. This one might be edited out or just moved to the back. And this one as well, because I want more low-growing stuff down here. But things that I'm looking at today with you guys is my Juga still alive, which is good. Things that I planted last year, which, again, most of my roses. So I am excited to share again about the arborvitaes that I planted, some Caryopteris that I saw on Laura's channel, and I just thought they were really pretty. Another learning lesson, I used paint on this bench. Last year it was beautiful. It's all black, looked perfect, and for whatever reason the paint chipped on this. So if you live in a rainy climate, I wouldn't use paint. I would use stain. It just seems to hold up better, and I know that might sound contradicting, but for what I can tell anyways, but I have to use paint. Now, you can't switch it once you do. I don't think so anyways. I think you have to stick to that. Unless I sand it down, maybe I could do that. My Eden climbing roses have grown a little bit even during the winter months. In fact, so this one is getting a little bit taller. Not looking the healthiest right now. I am going to prune off, there goes a leaf right there, prune down the leaves at the end of February to clean them, strip them down, and prune them, and then I will use some rose tone to get those healthy. But if you don't remember, planted several roses this year and then last year, and most of them being fairly successful in that process. But again, the rain and all those things, so even these are looking worse for the wear. These are the $5 ones, so not too invested in them, other than I would like to save them. I don't want them to die. So again, same thing, I'll defoliate and move some of the gravel back and put rose tone after I do that process. And we should be good to go. I want to show you this. This is kind of funny. Some of my plants don't know what time of year it is. There's buds all over my yellow rose. And I guess it's just thinking we are still going strong even in January. So by the way, I'm a zone 9A, and anytime I say that, it kind of makes me cringe, because when I think of zone 9A, I think of all of the other gardening YouTube channels that have really warm climates, and I'm nowhere near that. Our climate is usually cool, maybe in the summer high 70s, occasional 80s, maybe 1 or 2 90s, and if a rare day we might get 100 degrees. So anyways, this is this. I could go take you and show you all the trees that fell, but that just shows me more work I need to do, so I'm going to pass on that. I didn't take you into the garden either, but you guys can go back to my prior videos. But again, I'm just going to be editing out things that are small that need to be planted elsewhere. Again, I'm going to be taking out my globe thistle, and I'm trying to decide if I want to put I bought 5 new boxwoods, the new ones from Proven Winners here, or I might actually put them in that raised bed that we did. Hopefully you can see it. I'm trying to zoom in. Clear back there because the dogs can't get to them, and that might be nice formality in there. My goal is to continue to kind of formalize our garden. I love a little bit of formal structure, but I also love cottage. So that's what we're doing. Another thing I want to mention is I told you about this obelisk my husband did for last spring, I think it was. Maybe it was for our anniversary, I can't remember. And then for my birthday last year, I don't know if I shared this or not, but he made me that one right there. And I'm not sure exactly where I'm gonna place it. It did blow over, it's heavy, and it blew over with the windstorm. So that tells you how high our winds are. These are made out of steel, same material as our Moongate arbors. In fact, there's a half one right there out in our garden. And then as a reminder, if I slow down, if I come back over here, this one right here, and then we also have the one over the bench. These guys my husband also designs and makes, and we have different styles that he does as well, but we can't ship them because they are so heavy. But we are in Oregon and Washington, so if you're interested, you can let me know. You can message me on Instagram and so forth. But I am going to end today's video, but again, I just wanted to share with you guys what my plans are for this next year. I think when I get my seeds, I might sit in my office, and I still have to put my Christmas decorations away, and just show you guys what I plan on doing. And I will show you my seed starting guest room that I plan on using. And that'll be fun. One last thing I want to mention is I'm talking to my husband about, we don't use that fire pit. And so to me, that's real estate that could be used. We don't have a lot of property. We have 4 acres, but most of it's either pasture or on a steep hill. So it makes it hard to find real estate, and I love to grow. So I'm trying to talk him into either doing a fountain here or someday a pond. Either a pond would probably be more realistic for us. It's just a small one. I don't even mind the shape of that, but maybe moving it more down the center, since this was incorporated after that's been here for years. So anyways, I gave you guys lots of information of what we're doing. Stay tuned. February I will be giving a tour, but I do have 2 work trips, but I also need to start my seeds. So it'll be a busy month for sure, but I do hope to take you guys along, and so excited for this next year. If you're not watching the progress on our other project for the art gallery, please pay attention to those videos. Those are on my website, and I promise on Instagram, and I promise I will get better at holding my phone and recording. I did buy one of those holders. I don't even know what it's called. But anyways, I am nervous to take my phone out of my hard case because I drop my phone all the time. And that's one of the pieces that I need to do in order to use that device. So anyways, that's just a silly side note. Thank you guys so much for your time. I hope you all had a wonderful, happy New Year's. Be kind to one another. I feel like the world is crazy right now, but we don't have to be crazy. Let's focus on positive things like our gardens, how we can support one another in our lives, and just be kind. So that's it for today, you guys. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will talk to all of you guys very soon. Take care, and bye.